Namaste, Sairam, and welcome everyone. I'm Connie Shaw, and this is my wonderful husband, Jim Wright. We have another chock full program for you today called Miracles Galore with a new 2-minute video update on the huge outpouring of blessings and miracles that the Lord is showering on people of all faiths everywhere via gazing. Also, we have 5 new self-help skill sets to add to your healing abilities, a new book recommendation, news of spiritual revival among Native American tribes, and photos and stories of 4 remarkable children who are healing prodigies. Speaking of miracles, we want to emphasize that, according to A Course in Miracles, quote, it's not miracles themselves that are significant, but the source of love that inspires them, which is far beyond evaluation.
Now, this is the time for you to be reminded to get your pens and notepads ready so that you can take down notes and have paper information of the new skill sets, and so that you can begin to take notes of your experiences before they fade when the masters start working with you during gazing and also in meditation. They may have already started sending you energy as soon as you sat down today, or even as early as yesterday. Don't forget to send your write-up of your experiences to your gazing coordinator within 24 to 48 hours so they can begin to collect and organize gazing report compilations for all of us. If English isn't your native language, of course, they have to have time to translate from Spanish or French or German, Italian, all of which takes time from these selfless leaders and coordinators.
And by the way, if you don't have a gazing coordinator, you can send your report to us at info at connieshaw.com. That is spelled CONNIESHAW.com. Now for today's program. We're going to go over the purposes of gazing, the categories of blessings and healing, video, which is 2 minutes, Masters of Light slideshow, the introduction to gazing by Jim, then gazing with the masters with both of us, and then also information on healing with iodine and also deriving new energy and vitality with Epsom salts spray.
We're also going to talk about healing headaches with potato slices and 4 ways in total to heal a headache, about your My Health folder, about the revival of Christianity in native tribes and native practices, and also Connie's going to talk about some remarkable child healers.
Yes. Well, thank you, Jim. Let's start with a prayer now. Beloved Lord and Masters of Light, today we ask to be strengthened in your light and compassion, opening our minds and hearts even wider so that we may feel compelled to help the suffering people all around us. Please inspire each of us watching with greater skills to inspire, to motivate, and to galvanize other people to help themselves, to heal, for example, from addictions to TV, drugs, alcohol, food, violent films, promiscuous sex, self-mutilation, and any and all mood-altering substances and activities that take us out of the heart and out of the present moment. We thank you in advance for your continual help, endless love, your creativity, cheerfulness, and your opening doors of opportunity to do more selfless service. And finally, beloved Lord, please infuse us with imaginative ways to create harmony and unity wherever we are at any moment. Amen, and so be it.
And now we have a brief new video that we put together showing the categories of blessings and healings that have been occurring.
Each time we see this new video, we're moved to deep silence and humility that Jim and I get to play a small part in conveying what our wonderful Heavenly Father is doing for so many now of all faiths. We know that each person is on their own true path, and that it's our happy task to honor the great messengers of each path and faith, and to strive to be like the preceptors of our own path and faith. There are roughly 65 saints, angels, and masters of light who have faithfully loved and guided Jim and me as we've listened for guidance and direction on how to create and to present these monthly online live stream gazing sessions. Our job is to keep surrendered and emptied so that we can be proficient hosts, inspirers, and educators for their powerful vibrational transformations within you and within us as well. Most of all, we are merely step-down transformers for their loving energies, striving to present more of them and less of ourselves. Now we will watch the new and improved Masters of Light slideshow.
I think you want to mention the purposes of gazing, perhaps. There are a few of those that I think I put up on the screen here.
All right. Number 1 is to shift energy, mood, and condition. 2, to deepen your inner connection to God. 3, to encourage and empower you. 4, to heal, purify, and enlighten the viewers. 5, freedom from limiting spirits, disease, and injury. Number 6, to transform DNA. Number 7, to receive the gifts of the Spirit that the Lord is providing during some of the sessions. And 8, to activate your light body, chakras, and meridians so that you can be a more effective healer of others. As you can see in the chart, there are a variety of purposes of gazing, which we just read, and now we would like to introduce new people to the Masters of Light slideshow, and regular viewers will realize we've added some new photos. So now the Masters of Light slideshow.
Now we're back and ready for the gazing induction. Do have your notepads ready so that you can write down any insights or shifts, healings, or messages the masters might give to you during gazing. And that might happen during your meditation on your own after our program also. So let's begin by uncrossing your arms and your legs, your ankles, your knees, and place your hands in a face-up position, a receptive position, down on your legs or on your knees. And during gazing, you just want to have a soft, almost unfocused look at us while it's going on. Now, let's get in our minds 3 or 4 wishes or prayers or intentions that we might have for ourselves, or they could be for our loved ones, including those whose pictures we might be showing. Those intentions can have to do with either bringing something good into our lives or banishing something that is irritating or worse from our lives. They can have to do with our spiritual lives and our life purpose. They can have to do with our bodies and our health, with our emotions and our psychological state and our sensitivity. They can have to do with our finances, our jobs, our careers, our selfless service activities, our leadership roles. They can especially have to do with our relationships with anyone in our families, in our lives, our families, brothers, sisters, aunties, uncles, parents, also other people in our lives who might be our bosses, for example, our co-workers, or anyone else. So you're going to look softly at the screen during gazing, and at the same time, allow your minds to become blank. Let all of your thoughts drain away. Do your best to not be thinking during gazing. Sometimes that's difficult, and the thinking will come back during gazing, and you'll have to realize that and go back to empty mind, which is just fine. Now, at the beginning of every gazing, just in preparation, we do a spiritual exercise, a breathing exercise, an exercise with our minds, in which we imagine our consciousness dropping down from our heads, inside our foreheads. We imagine it dropping down into our spiritual heart center, in the center of our chest, as we breathe out. And at the end of our out breath, we notice how it feels in our heart center to have that consciousness there. There's a little switch that happens when we notice that. So let's do that right now. Let's breathe in deeply, shoulders up towards your ears. Now breathe out, consciousness down into your heart center, noticing how it feels when it gets there. Let's do that again. Breathe in deeply, shoulders up towards your ears. Breathe out, consciousness dropping down into your heart center. And notice that feeling that you have just for yourself when your consciousness reaches your heart center. That's the point at which you're connecting with all that is and with special people that you may have in mind. Let's do this one last time. Let's breathe in deeply, shoulders up towards our ears. Now breathe out, consciousness down into your heart center. Now with your eyes closed, imagine your consciousness going out into the universe and reaching the quantum field of love, however you envision it. Notice the quantum field of love enveloping you, wrapping around you, and you feel the warmth, the lovingness of the quantum field of love. take a moment to enjoy how that is. And now you can draw your consciousness back into the present moment and open your eyes. If you haven't already done so, this would be the time to put out photos or hold up photos of those who you'd like to attend gazing with you. Remember that those photos actually often draw changes and improvements far beyond those that the people in the gazing receive. The stories of changes to people who are in the photos that are brought to gazing are absolutely abundant and amazing. So let's begin gazing right now.
Thank you. And now we'll begin the workshop, starting with the use of iodine to boost the immune system. Iodine has been used for over 200 years in the United States, but drastically less in about the past 80 years. Jim is going to show you how to use the iodine daily, since 95% of Americans, and most other people too, are dangerously low in iodine, according to Dr. Mark Circus, author of Healing with Iodine. We have his book here. I found it to be immensely valuable, and also your library can probably order this for you so that you will be able to read it and discuss it with your friends and apply the ideas.
In the U.S., the most used brand is called Lugol's iodine. And by the way, you don't put this in your mouth.
No.
You put it on your body. It's topical. Another brand that's used in the U.S. is Nascent. Now, I don't know where else in the world those brands are available, but basically those are the two that we're familiar with using. So you carefully take a drop with the dropper out of here, and you use the dropper and you put a drop on a finger, and then you rub that drop in the depression on your neck.
Near your thyroid gland.
Near your thyroid gland. And then you may take a second drop and just put it on your
Wrist or arm.
wrist or your forearm. And after you've taken it for a little while, maybe a few days, maybe a week or two, then you can add a second drop. And I can't see if I can get my arm right.
Wait, I think you mean the third drop, because
A third drop, yeah. Third drop on your body.
right.
And you can put it on your other arm or wrist. And after a few days, you could go up to 4 drops and then just stay at 4 drops per day. So, as Connie said, iodine provides an immune boost. It provides energy. It provides clarity. Give it a try. See what you think.
It also helps to deal with joints that are painful or sore, and muscles and ligaments. So there are pages and pages of uses for it that are given in the book Healing with Iodine by Dr. Mark Circus.
Okay.
It also can deal with, in addition to clearing weak tendons and muscles, it helps to banish fatigue and confusion and helps heart issues as well as dozens of other issues. Now we have another chart on Epsom salt spray. Thank you, Jim. The next few self-helps that we have for you are featuring Epsom salt sprays on your sore muscles, and especially on legs and feet if you have to walk long distances or stand for many hours in your work. Now, our friend Johnny, who works on his feet all day in a Dillard's menswear department, told us that when he started using the Epsom salt spray on his legs, he could hardly stand up. His feet and legs were so sore. I think he stands on his legs perhaps 10 or more hours a day. Now, however, he still gets up at 4:30 a.m., meditates and prays, then makes his breakfast and eats it, then makes his lunch, which he takes to work, and then he makes dinner to eat when he and his wife get back home at 9 p.m. every day. So at 4:30 a.m. he sprays his feet and legs all over, then does it again before leaving for work, and then a couple of times during the day. He called the other day and said, "I have to tell you that although I'm in my 60s and was starting to feel my age, now I'm feeling energetic all day and I feel like a young man of 40. I'm not exhausted at all at the end of the day as I was before." Many of our friends are doing this and having the same results, and we're also using it as well.
Now here's an example of a sprayer. This one's 8 ounces. You don't have to use a sprayer that's this big, and I can see that it's a little hard to see. But there are sprayers like this available anywhere that you go, and this is the kind of thing that our friend uses to spray on his legs.
Now, we have another chart that has to do with healing headaches with potato slices. Now, you wash, peel, and slice any potato. It could be red, white, or gold. And you place the slices on your face for 30 minutes to relieve headaches, whether they're sinus headaches or ocular migraines in your eye or frontal lobe migraines. Then, Jim is going to show you that in a moment.
Well, I'll just do it right now.
Yes.
If these are the potato slices, you can just tilt your head back, and if they're real potatoes, they'll just stay right there in place on your forehead or on your eyes, and you can just leave them there for a while.
And the reason that potatoes work especially well and have been used probably for centuries to heal headaches is that potassium deficiency causes headaches, and you can leave the potato slices on your head or face for 20 or 30 minutes or until the headache subsides. Also, electrolytes can clear headaches as well. Now, in this next chart, four ways to heal a headache, in addition to what we just talked about regarding real potato slices. Then you can use a paper potato slice and use your intention so that you are effectively using the surrogacy principle. And you can just say, by the power of my mighty iron presence, I now decree that the potassium in this potato slice, even though it's a paper potato slice, is healing my headache immediately. This is very helpful if you don't have a potato and there's no one to get one for you, and you may not take aspirin or might be allergic to it, or you might not have any on hand. So you cut out, as we said, the pretend potato and then intend that it's the surrogate. All right. The next thing is a third process using frequency 5, as you recall, which is pink energy. So Jim is going to show you how to do that. You bunch up your fingers, right? And then you twirl them around in small circles around your forehead, around your eyes, around your sinuses, or wherever your headache is, and just say, through my divine nature, I am sending universal love and divine mother pink energy and love into my face and head.
You're visualizing that energy.
Yes, exactly. Visualizing the pink energy going right into your head. And then you say, this is God's perfect face and head. I'm now healed. Then finally, you can place your hands over your eyes. This is called palming. And you can palm your own eyes, as Jim is doing, and you can see that his hands nearly cover his whole face. And you can, as we said, do it on yourself or other people. And you can send blue energy through your head from your hands to soothe away any pain or discomfort.
Yeah, through your hands.
Yes.
You visualize the blue energy coming out of your hands and radiating into your head, where it will relieve the pain that you're having.
Yes, and if you have a dog or a cat or a livestock or a pet that seems a little droopy, or they seem to be a little off, you can also palm their head or their eyes, and they seem to like that. Now, the next chart has to do with my health info. So this is a fifth skill set in the keeping of a health and wellness folder that you can call My Health Info or Health Results or Health Contacts and Resources. Now, the French have always been very organized about keeping personal journals and folders on their health records and physical exam test results, and on any new ideas that they're experimenting with. And they also include supplements they're taking, dosages and brands, perhaps addresses or emails or phone numbers of the location where they were able to get them, as well as new remedies, their allergy history, and contact information on healers, products, devices for healing, and various people that they've utilized in the past.
So this would be a good place to take notes of the things and the results if you're trying the Epsom salts, or if you're trying the potatoes, or if you're trying any of the things we've recommended you try in previous videos. This is where you can make a record of your experimental results and what you're actually doing, and keep track of what works and what doesn't work for you, what's best and what's not so best.
Yes, we do this and have found it's just immeasurably helpful. Thank you, Jim. Now then, the next chart is a saying that prejudice is being down on something you're not up on. That is so true. Now, this leads right into the next topic of what is happening in the way of spiritual renewal and revival in Native American tribes, especially on reservations in the United States. Now, sometimes when people hear that I've been invited to speak over the years for various Native American tribes and nations, they've pressed me to learn why I was invited there, since I'm obviously not a Native person, and which natives I spoke with, which nations, and what the topics were. So I've told them that I've been very blessed to speak in Alaska to the native Yupik, or formerly known as Eskimo people, about the miracles of Sai Baba and the prophecies of Mother Mary to me. That was their request. In Southwest Colorado, I've helped battered Ute women with self-esteem and with communications. In New Mexico, the elders invited me to help plan the spiritual unity of the tribes gatherings at Nambe Pueblo many years ago, and that's mentioned in our book, Mary's Healings and Prophecies, Intimate Revelations of a Visionary. People are often surprised that many of the native people in the U.S. are either Christians or members of the Baha'i faith. In fact, these days, virtually all seminaries and missionary training schools, whether they're in Asia sending missionaries to the United States, or whether they're in Africa or the U.S., the staff strongly caution the missionaries to respect the local cultures of indigenous people and to let them practice their traditional ways of connecting to God deep in the heart within them in order to renew their relationship with Him, to purify themselves on all levels, and to heal themselves and their relationships through forgiving themselves and others. Now, all creeds, paths, religions, and traditions, as you know, have their unique practices to be able to renew and purify, heal, connect, and forgive themselves and other people, or even God, if they have issues with Wakantanka or Great Spirit or God. The natives, as you know, practice the sweat lodge, where forgiveness takes place, also kiva gatherings underground, sacred drumming and ceremonial dancing, to which we have been invited, as well as to sweat lodges, and they also practice the vision quest, prayer, and the sacred pipe, and they also do the sacred sun dance in some of the tribes. So you can see now, as you probably have noticed if you know any Native people or you have seen articles or photos in magazines or in newspapers, that Native Americans are allowing non-Native people to attend the sweat lodges, drumming and ceremonial dancing, vision quests, and prayer circles. So all people have come a long way from the days when a great deal of abuse was heaped upon Native people on virtually all continents. Now, this is a chart of Native American tribes and nations in the beginnings of Christian revival. The Crow Nation in Montana, Blackfeet in Montana, the Flathead in Montana, the Salish in Montana, the Kootenai, that looks like it should be pronounced Kootenai, but we understand it's the Kootenai people in Washington State, and the Cherokee in Oklahoma. Now then, as the original people, not only in the United States but in Australia, are working together with all people there in their countries of Australia, New Zealand, the United States, and elsewhere, to forgive and pray and to chart an inclusive future vision for the cultures in the country of Australia in particular. Now, this chart says, in the quantum field of universal love, we all exist as one consciousness. One very exciting thing that the Lord is doing now, in addition to extraordinary miracles no one has ever seen or read about or heard of before, is that he is bringing forth reincarnating saints as remarkable healer babies and children now in all cultures. Now, these we're going to talk about 4 of these incredible children. The first is Samuel Ajayi, and this was taken when he was 3 months old, and he began doing miracles when he was 3 months old. Mother Mary and Jesus appeared to various people and said to them, seek out the home of the Ajayi family and go to ask permission to see the baby Samuel, who was born in about 2019, and have the mother put her hand on the baby's hands, bring a bottle of water, have the mother and the baby touch the water, and it will turn your bottled water into holy water or healing water. And then recently, what has been happening is that people have been given visions and guidance to bring a piece of cloth, which Jim is going to show you an example of, to the family, and with that, bottled water. And now the baby is now a boy, and he is able to pour bottled water onto a piece of cloth or a bandana, which this is, or a hanky, or some fresh, clean piece of cloth, and then the visitors take the water, go home and drink it or put it on their bodies, and they put the healing cloth, for example, on a sore shoulder or someplace on their body that has a disease or injury. Now, the next child is, and I hope I'm pronouncing these names correctly, I believe his name is Heomar Castillo, born March 15th in 2015, with the stigmata of Christ marks. You can see the crown of thorns mark on his head, and he has a stigmata on his hands, on his palms, and on his feet. And he is from the Philippines. Unfortunately, there's virtually nothing available about him, and sometimes the parents tire of being besieged by demanding crowds every day, and they want their child to be secluded and to be safe in the bosom of the family and to not become spoiled or have an enlarged ego because of unusual, continual, unrelenting attention to them. We can fully understand that. Now, the next child is a girl, very charming baby, and here she is. Now this story strains even my credulity. I consider myself to be very open-minded. I've never heard of a miracle like this. The Lord said he was going to do miracles that have never been heard about or known about before. This little baby is named Okiki Jesus. I think that's how they pronounce it. Okiki Jesus is her whole name. From Ila Orangun, Nigeria. Her mother delivered delivered from the birth canal, a small cellophane-wrapped Bible.
Probably very small.
Very small, a moment before the baby was born. And from hearing people in other interviews on various YouTube channels, it seemed when people described the initial Bible, they held up the palm of their hand as if it would fit in the palm of their hand. So it was cellophane wrapped. Now, how did a cellophane wrapped Bible get into a mother's womb? Interdimensionally by God. So the Bible came out. The baby was delivered by a midwife on the family's floor of their very simple house. And the mother said, look, something's coming out. And she grabbed it and handed it to the midwife and said, what is this? The midwife opened it up, and it was a Bible. Not only that, the Bible actually grew from a miniature Bible to a large one that would be the size of a very large family Bible. For example, I would imagine maybe 12 inches by 2.5 inches thick, and then perhaps maybe...
Well, that's it.
10, yes, there it is, yes, 10 inches wide. So there you can see it very clearly. So the Bible was read by many of the local holy men and various clergy, and many people were invited in to see the new baby and the new Bible that came at the same time. And then finally, the Bible was donated to the Catholic clergy. And this is in the village of Ila Oranugan in Nigeria. And also, Samuel is from Nigeria as well. Then last time, we told you about Eunice Utieno Godot. Now, I have seen many versions of her name and spellings of her name. I've seen it spelled as Eunice, as well as Unis. So Eunice Utieno Godot, born around 2018, so she's now 4 going on 5, and has healed thousands of people by pouring water on them and praying for their healing. Mother Mary speaks to her and teaches her prayers. Mary asked the child to build a church for her, so when she was 3 years old, the family and neighbors built a small open-air stone and cinder block chapel that can hold about 10 or 12 people. It was immediately outgrown because people come from all over the area in Tanzania where they live and other countries as well. So the family now use a large blue tent in the front yard to accommodate the daily crowds who come for healing of every imaginable ailment and injury and malady. Now, we've often told you that young African children have done several resurrections, and that Canadian missionaries Heidi and Roland Baker have now resurrected well over 400 people in Mozambique. We'll continue to update you when we hear more about the extraordinary outbreaks of spiritual revival and renewal that are taking place around the world. In the U.S., revival is happening in Northwest Georgia, in Nashville, Tennessee, in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, in Florida, and in Los Angeles, California, as well as elsewhere in California. You'll have to do your own research on that, and there's a great deal to discover online. It's also happening, as we said, just beginning now on some Indian reservations in the United States. Now it's time for our lesson review of the day. As we have said, when you're teaching anything to anyone, whether it's how to change a flat tire, or how to awaken a comatose person, or teaching a class, there are 3 steps. First, you say what you're going to teach, assuming they want to learn it and they're there voluntarily, and you tell them the benefits of learning it, and then you teach it, and then you review what you've taught. So first you announce, then you do it, then you review it. Now then, we're going to do that lesson review right now.
So we began with a prayer, and then we discussed some of the purposes of gazing, followed by the video, the new video about categories of blessings. Then we showed the Masters of Light slideshow, and Connie said there were a couple of new masters. Those are not masters that we decided to add. Those are masters that those of you who are participating told us you had seen, and when several people have seen the same master, we can add them to the slideshow, but we don't decide who goes in the slideshow.
They appear in your rooms where you are or in your gazing venue, and then you tell us by email usually, all right? And then we have...
Of course, I did the introduction to gazing, and we followed with the gazing, with quantum gazing with the masters by both Connie and I. Then Connie talked about iodine and what it's effective for, and the shortage of iodine that most of us have, and about the use of Epsom salt sprays for our muscles. And now then we have a second review chart, I believe. There it is.
All right. We discussed headache healing with potato slices, 4 ways to heal a headache, my health information folder, revival in native tribes, native practices that draw themselves closer to God within them, remarkable child healers, and now we would like to thank the Masters, the Angels, and the Lord for the tremendous love that they give us so continually. All right, and I would just like to say that This is a good time for you to write down a paragraph or two for your gazing coordinators to share with all of us. Your contribution is a small way of giving back since you have received so much from the various people that are involved in putting on these programs. You can share anonymously if you wish, if you're too shy, but feel free to use your first name, your initials, or first and last name. Don't compare yourselves with others and realize this is not a contest. If you didn't receive a healing, perhaps it's because you're not sick. The Lord has asked us to keep good records because He said that these experiences are like those of the apostles in the Bible, and that generations from now, people will be very interested in the extraordinary times that we're all so privileged to be living through now, when so many modern saints are being created in all faiths, east and west, on the globe. We give our heartiest thanks, as we just said, again to the angelic hosts, the saints and masters, and our most beloved Lord, for blessing and healing all of us today. Sometimes you might receive a shift, a blessing, or a healing and not even be aware of it until some time later. Now, we'll say farewell to you. Thank you for coming. Until our next gazing, which will be on Saturday, August the 6th at 2 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time. You may now begin meditation after we leave the screen. God bless each of you, and do know that you are greatly loved. Until next time, Namaste and Sairam.